So you're tuned into KAOS 89.3 FM here in Olympia, and I think I got, is it Mayan? Did I get it right?
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Mayan. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself. Thanks for calling and sharing with us. I know that we've been working on trying to get you to call in, and both me and Sarah are very excited. And I know that you, like I was saying on the phone a little bit ago, like you pretty much got your hands everywhere, and you're doing so many things for the people. And so I just want to say thank you for all you're doing for our people and the people and the planet. So
yeah, you're welcome, and thank you. And yeah,
so I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourself and we can start talking. So thank you.
Thank you.
You have the floor.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
My name has primarily been Christopher Rowland, but I decided I want to go ahead and take my native name back, and that is Mahian Host. And so that means man who dwells in the holy place. So after, taking my name and becoming that, has been some very interesting things in the events of our production, as far as like helping the children and doing different things like that on the reservation, helping them with arts and with musical instruments, and getting to that place where we can be of service to the younger ones who are up and coming. And so basically, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. It's I'm an oil painter and a musician, and I've been doing that since I was 7 years old. and back then everybody were artists and musicians. Just depending on how much you had access to art supplies or to musical instruments.
You don't want to hear me play anything. I do draw, so I just have to joke a little bit.
Yeah, that seems to be something that's really it's something that's so overlooked. That natives have. I mean, it's been at least with my tribe. Growing up, there's so many talented people, and each can do a different thing. Each has a different style, and it's such a beautiful expression because we always had beautiful design structures on our garments, and we've always had different designs passed down as a form of communication. So art's been utilitarian in a lot of ways. Art and life are one,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm just like one of the things I was talking about to Sarah about was the commission that I had in 2010. In 2009, I got bit by a tick, 2 ticks actually, and they caused this Lyme disease thing inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so by the time the doctors examined it, they said they labeled me as post-Lyme syndrome. So I was losing lots of weight, getting really sick, and I got so sick that I started like leaving my body. And it was really interesting is that these different people from all around, different tribal people, Sioux and Chickasaw, and various other healers came to me, and they kind of helped me stay, alive, stay in my body, and it turned really cancerous. Everything turned cancerous on me, so I was pretty much talking to the spirit every day, full blast.
Mm-hmm.
And so while I was, I was painting and everything, this vision came to me one night, and the vision, as I was walking towards the bed, because I wanted to dress nicely if they found me, I was getting ready to leave, and so the vision just opened up, and it was this bright line of light, and the light moved back and forth, and it spoke, and it said, This is how we move, and this is how we sound. And so they left a sound, and it never left my essence. It never left my brain after that. It was always, they were always singing.
Wow.
And the sound was of a million voices, you know, and so those were all compacted in one, and they kind of showed me visually how they worked, all string by string. There was bass on the left hemisphere, and there was treble on the left hemisphere, and there's, you know, I mean, there was everything you could think of, and they'd kind of show themselves to me, and I was really just blown back because it was a really high-pitched sound that didn't appear to have any bass in it. But once you like unravel the sound, there was bass in both hemispheres. So I was just kind of looking out into space, watching this all happen, and I started, you know, I had a little energy, so I started painting it off and on, and found out that it was really energetic. But the sweet medicine chief came. He's, you know, because I was looking it up, I said, there's some things happening in my life, and he says, I need to get there as fast as possible. And so he brought another sub-chief who was already in New York City, and at that particular time I was in Charlottesville, Virginia, and they performed a ceremony, a really powerful ceremony, and they brought me fully back into my body because I guess I really was leaving. Wow. And so, yeah, they told me, this is the most powerful ceremony in Cheyenne history. I was like, wow. You know, because I thought, oh, the Sundance is, you know, or the Assam ceremony is. I said, no, this is the most powerful one that we're doing here, and I'm showing this other chief how to do this. The one chief, the highest ceremonial man, was very close to my, you know, like a brother. He's like a brother to me. But once he found this stuff started going on with me, he came right away and he said, we've been looking for you. And they sat me down and they said, you know why we're ministering to you? And I was thinking to myself right away, who am I to be ministered to? You know, I was of such low self-esteem, and my body was breaking down. And although I had done some stuff for the tribe as a cultural ambassador and different things like that, liaison for different programs, I was like, could it be any more like heavier than this? You know, they said, you know why we're ministering to you? And he says, and I say, no. And he says, it's because we thought we lost it. We thought we lost it. We didn't know if it was ever going to happen. But you're here to open the eastern door. And I was just like, whoa. And so after that, all these miracles started happening, and with my body, you know, and then the cancer was removed, and everything just kind of like just was spinning, and I was walking. I didn't have a car or anything. I just started walking, and I went through this amazing journey back to the east, toward the Hudson River. And I wanted to know who these gods were, you know. I wanted to know who this Lord was. I wanted to know who Yeshua was. I wanted to know who all these people were, you know, that were in the Bible, you know. And I got to find out that it's all been switched around, you know. And I got to find out the real words, the phonetics, and how to say the word instead of Yahweh. It was Yahweh, Yahweh. And that was very connected. That's very well connected to the Peru and ayahuasca, ayahuasca. So after finding out all these informations, I started, I started like kind of implementing that in my internal library, and because all of this knowledge was coming to me, and I ended up right along staying in a nice apartment right along the Hudson River, and I was just told by Spirit to go down to the river and to move the waters, and so I started doing that. And for 3 months, I moved these waters and these lines and stuff like that came up as rushing waters, sometimes bigger waters, smaller waters, and I just did what Spirit told me to do, and I was there for 3 months. And then I left. But while I was there, I actually got pictures of it too, because it was like a gift for me to see that this was actually happening, you know. Mm-hmm. And what it meant, you know, all came into it all came into context with this vision and with the high ceremonial men. And I found out that the eastern door, there was a giant eastern door at one point right there along the Hudson that was always the Mohawks were given authority of. The flint knappers were given the authority to watch over. And so evidently, you know, back in the 1600s, some things were sold, things were done incorrectly, and so forth and so on, as part of like this infiltration process. Anyway, the door was removed. So it goes way back into this history, you know, way back into history that they don't talk about. And so I ended up getting very interested in all the history and how it was manipulated and different things like that, because I wanted to know the truth. And I wanted to know, I knew that the eastern door in the sun dance was set up a certain way, and I knew that the eastern door meant life, you know. And what I came to realize is that the waters were purified, and it started this purification process. But the eastern door, basically what they told me, what the spirits told me, was that there's no need for blood sacrifice anymore, or the act of blood sacrifice. So this was the great freedom, because the blood sacrifice always kept the people on lockdown. Yeah, so the great freedom was that, and the understanding was that this purification process was going to happen, and it's starting to happen all around it started to happen all around the world with the weather, everything. People talk about geoengineering and everything like that. Well, there's a higher source that's running this, the governments here and everything, and there's a war going on right now. And the war is being won by the goodness, the kindness, the love, the hope, the great understanding, you know, the great knowledge of who we are as human beings, and that eternal oneness that we have. So that eternal light that keeps all of us lit up, I came to understand was in the all. Now, the Cheyenne, Mahio is the All-Father, and Ma is water, Map is water. And so it does coincide a lot with some older ancient, you know, knowledge about this watery root that we're living in, this watery planet. The Paiutes know about the watery root of three. The Potawatomis do, and the menorah and all this other stuff. You know, the seven sacred fires, and so that the when I stood there on my last day, moving those waters and stuff like that, I saw the seven spirits on the left side move to the right, and the whole sky changed. And it was an amazing experience for me. It blew my mind. It humbled me so much every day that I went out there and did that, because a lot of times it would scare people away. They would see those waves right in on the Hudson, and they would just like start leaving because they didn't know what to think. You know, so it wasn't really about the people there. Right now, it was more about an ancient prophecy that needed to be fulfilled. And so when I did that, I got to find out all kinds of things about the reclamation of the world and what will happen, and the Earth Mother and the mothers getting older because everyone grows old in this system and dies, and they come back around, but in a circle. But this Eastern Door is about eternal life. It's about unlocking all those anything that was locked down, and that being released from the human body, from the human form, and all those like traditions that kept people naive about who they really are. It would be shown to them, you know. It would be shown who you really are. It'd be shown how the spirit works inside of you, and how it works through your soul. And we've got a solar plexus, and their teepees are like us, you know. They have that vortices, you know, the energy field that comes out, and the plexus I understood to be, plexus being the root systems. So we're like trees, and so it's all of this knowledge came, and it was like I got to see all these things happen. But today, the message is for hope, for great hope, because all of those ones, like Mary and so many others who gave so diligently and they sacrificed their own, like let's say, comfort to take care of the people. All of that is not for anything at all, for nothing. All of it's coming to fruition because all the work they did will help build this new structure and this new world where there's the spiritual powers are the ones who are falling into an order of changing the system altogether. Absolutely. From the very beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So it was always like with the Hebrews, it was always like 10 bands, and somewhere along the line they introduced 12. Well, they talk about Manasseh and Ephraim being that 12, those two that were added, but it was always 10, and everybody knew that back in the old days, So like the like in December that should be the 10th month, but it's not. Why is it not the 10th month? And October should be the 8th month. October, but it's not. Why not? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Why is it the 10th month instead of the 8th month? Because originally they had 10 months. Mm-hmm. So we're getting into some really, really deep knowledge about why things how things have been changed, and so it takes higher spiritual force and the father to be able to, and the father and mother, to be able to change this situation that we're in with the reservations, with all that, and that comes with also looking at the system, the Indian education policy, which is genocidal in its very nature, and I think we were talking about that earlier. Yeah. It's genocidal in its very nature, and it's still happening today.
Yeah, none of it's in past tense, and as you're talking, the things like all of it resonates with me. Okay, like the last few years for me have been really interesting, to say the least. It's been hard, but like all necessary. But like purging a lot. I've been told by the spirits that the victim mentality has to go. Boom, it's gone. I can hear that what you were talking about. That has to change. The blood gifts and things that's done. We're done with that. Then you talked about song, right? And they were telling me that all these sacred places are all activated by frequencies of sound. All the great pyramids, all these sacred sites all over, sounds, right? And you talk about love and the environment and purging. So I think we're purging all the things to move to the next level. But one of the things that they were showing me when I dream, they don't talk in language, they just show, but they were like, the environment's changing, but it's always been changing, and we're not going to get hit all at once. It's happening.
Yeah, like an asteroid or something.
No, we're just going to get little pieces here to move people to where they need to be. At least that's what they've been showing me in my dreams, and like I need to myself move out of that, because I've been going way deep. Because a lot of this stuff, like you're talking about, is like, the truth has been hidden so deeply. It's within our collective being, and we have to like purge the crap, so to speak, in order to see the truth. And like you said, I really know that the spirits. That was one of the things when I did my time out out there, and the holies told me that they have everything under control. We just have to stay in the prayer and just trust. So I hear that in your story. It's amazing, really amazing. I feel like that if we stay in the heart, We're still going to have some hiccups, but it's not going to be as bad. And that's what I was thinking about today. It's really hard to get out of your head. So many of us are sometimes stuck in our head, but it's only 18 inches right to our heart. When we need to be in there when this process is happening. So, I mean, that's just my 2 cents that I got from what you were saying, because it's really true. You still there?
You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Being a victim is easier than one would think. The harder way all the time is to say being a victim is so hard. But the easier way is just to see that, now this is something that really kind of bucks the system, but to understand that we're perfect, to understand that everyone was created perfect. When a baby comes out, and greets you with a cry, the baby's not saying, I'm imperfect. The baby's saying, come with me in my perfection. All these things, it's perfect. It's a perfect way that it's supposed to be inside of the purest parts of our heart. It's perfection, and and then you make it perfection, and it's like your mind, your body, everything falls in line with what you say, in your heart. So when you're perfect, and this isn't about ego or any of that invented stuff, because they didn't have the words ego and all that stuff, or any word for it, at least in my tribe. But the perfection is about acceptance of who you are and total love and adoration for that person, and that's what they tried to destroy when this war went on, and they they took out so many millions of native peoples. So the understanding, of jolting people and saying, listen, there's people there's going to be people that are crying out and will, from underneath your libraries, your community centers, your roadways, your banks, there's people underneath there, and I think that's a really hard reality for a lot of people to accept, is that their forefathers built all of this on top of these burial grounds and dead, and the ones that were in the earth, and so that's part of the message too, is like, where are you at? Where are you really at here in the United States? And who's and I'm thinking myself that, and just looking at everything, how everything's going, is that, with the natives here, the 109 federally recognized tribes, can't even say that word, and the 55 or so, who knows, right? How many people were wiped out here in California? But of all those people that the governor had come, had come forward to say that we're sorry for the genocide. I think that's in itself is a move in the right direction in starting a trend for people to have to look at what's going on now. Have to see what's going on. And another thing that I've had a hard time with is the and I don't get mad at anybody for working there or anything, but the Bureau of Indian Affairs. All monies that are allocated to the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and the monies are allocated usually to the systems in the tribe. I mean, I've noticed that only 13%, 9 to 13% actually get to the people after they beg for the monies for programs with tribes, right? Mm-hmm. And the tribal government. And then all the rest goes into administrative costs or whatever, I think it's being pocketed, but, this is going to end too, and this is all part of prophecy. Mm-hmm. There's nothing that anybody's going to be able to do about it. It's going to transform and transmute, just like you were saying, just little bits at a time are going to be, changed and maneuvered and, reformed, so to speak.
Absolutely. I think that when more I think about what's going on, it is repositioning. back to that we talked about the circle coming full boat around, and like I trust in those holies, and talked to my uncle last week about this, and he, as long as we're still having children, creation still has a place for us, but there's very few, that I can see that still are in that old way, that are holding that space, and so I feel we need to pay more attention to those that are doing a lot of that administrating that you're talking about, like, to the waters, to the airways, to the, to the earth, like, I just feel like we need to be focusing on helping in that direction the best we can. We have people here down the Capitol that are there praying that the governor of the state declares climate emergency so we can work towards the healing that you're talking about.
Yeah, and to be on call for that, because there's more events coming, and the whole thing about it is like, it's a very powerful thing that you're doing, and it's a very powerful thing that others are doing in similar situations as you, getting like a lot of this indigenous information, a lot of this tribal information out, so that people all around the world can really take part in doing something about it, within themselves too, because the whole thing that you just brought out is like, that's like what it's about in a nutshell. It's about cleansing, keeping your body, keeping your mind clean and clear for spirit to be able to operate through you,
Yeah.
And then the Great One takes the burden of the strength and adds to your strength. And we'll say, when called upon at the Father, I call him Father, but Father, and I always address the Mother and everything that is within me that is from the child on up,
Mm-hmm.
But always comes and never ignores me on that level, So I can find the strength, and I go, wow, this is great. I've got emotional strength. I got power. I'm steady, and it's like, this is a good feeling. I will listen.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what we want to introduce with the musical instruments and everything, is to be able to like look at those subtleties within your being, and since all this other stuff is all red tape,
Yeah.
There's people that can work with that red tape to actually bring those like instruments in, that mentorship, the mentorships for the young ones. And can I read like a first little part of the vision of this brochure that we made?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, it says American Tribal Youth Arts Education Foundation, ATY, because to me art is everything. We are art.
Yeah.
ATYAEF, we got to make that smaller maybe, envisions the empowerment of Native American youth from all tribes, or American Indian youth, whichever way you choose this. I'm choosing to go with American Indian, since there were the three Indies. There were the three Indians. There was the West India, and then there was the West Indies, and then there was America, or was considered India also. There was three Indias back in the time of like the 1500s and the trades,
Mm-hmm.
According to the maps. But anyway, it says youth from all tribes through art projects and multiple media. Countless studies have proven that artistic activities for developing minds are indelibly and incredibly transformative. The discipline, self-confidence, and outside-of-the-box problem-solving mental processes that artistic activities build are applicable, excuse my jumbling here, to success in any and in all fields of endeavor thereafter. Not all tribal youth will become a commercial artist, such as myself, and if that's what you want to call it, commercial artist. I just do art. But all youth will develop vital life skills under the mentorship of ATYAEF, a robust opportunity to pursue a well-rounded education which includes exposure to a variety of art disciplines. It's fundamental to the ATAEF vision, and it's dedicated to delivering the artistic component of this educational model. And then we got several projects that involve mentorships for specialized types of events, or if somebody wants to be, let's say, a bronze sculpture, we got that, set aside, or we're tuned in with a foundry and old skills too, and making different types of, whatever it is, we can do it. And that's the way I feel like our minds need to be. It's like we can be there for the kids. The staggering statistics of the youth,
Yeah.
and these tribal communities, and the suicide rates, those suicide rates are so gut wrenching, and
It's
I
all,
would rather, yeah.
no, it's all
Yeah.
hard. Like, I have a hard time with it myself, and like, like you were talking about, like, I think art lifts all that stuff. John called them shadow casters, and I think that they're out there, and they're becoming more and more, because they are, like, a wounded animal always strikes out more, and I think that we're in that time where that's happening. And I listened to some audio today with Harry Belafonte, and he was talking about the importance of art and culture, and how that it heals the humanity, and so we need to be focusing on life, like life, and art brings us in the moment, and so, like, I think it's important, those things that you're talking about, big time, and it lifts up the falseness of I don't know. I just think there's really heavy right now, really heavy.
Yeah, and we prayer is very powerful too, to be able to, like, pray for our brothers and sisters in the full sense of it, because it's like there are brothers and sisters out there that are suffering, and they're connected to us fully,
Yeah.
and wholly, and so I want to remind people such as yourself and leaders that their strength and their demeanor is not done in vain. It's like the strength that you ask for, and the strength that you are given, and the strength that you do give to others is not ever seen in vain. It's like it's this well, inside of us, a spiritual well that pours out, and we have that capability. We have the capability of, like, going down to the waters, and moving the waters, and moving the sky, and playing with the elements of nature. We have those capabilities because we are that. So
we're helping each other. I know that for sure. Like, every one of us that I know in my life has helped me remember, how to be a human being, because that's what we have to be. We have to get back to being a full-bodied human being, not just a human. We have to be connected to our being, and to that light you're talking about. That, to me, is the human being, that frequency that John always talked about. And I just feel like we're, like you said, we are all connected in that way, and
yeah,
and we help one another.
And some of us more than others, because we're vibrating on that level, of like when you're of sound heart and mind, your intentions are pure and helping people. That goes a long way, and people don't understand it. I didn't understand that. I was helping a lot of people, but I was feeling really tired before, and I was like, "Oh, I'm putting all this on me." Well, I realized that I had just had to move out of the way for it and just be there for what was going to happen. And I learned that the hard way, but because it hurt. You're like, "Oh man, I'm feeling every little thing that is happening on the reservation right now." I was hurt, and so rather than taking like it was a blow, understanding that yes, I will see those people again. Who says that I'm not going to see those people again? I mean, this is not. I mean, everything that we've been told about life isn't necessarily true. In fact, a lot of the ancients had so many different understandings of like a resurrection. They always said, if you understand what resurrection is first before you even approach the great white light or whatever, you understand what that is, and that's when all the miracles start to happen.
Right. Well, they never had a word for goodbye.
Yeah.
It was always to see you again sometime.
Yeah.
And
we'll see you later. We'll see you later for sure.
Yeah. It's just a whole different world. Just a whole different worldview, and like we've been, we've been mined to. I don't like the word believe because, like John said, he pointed out there's a lie in the middle of it. We had a deep knowing. I think when we were all connected to that original dream that you're talking about, we had that deep knowing, that connectiveness with whatever you want to call spirit, and we have to move back into that in order to heal. And I know I'm working on myself. I know as long as I'm in this body, I have a lot to do. So.
What's from what I understand about the different prophecies and what I understand about what Spirit was reflecting to me was that there's going to be a position, there's going to be a time when a lot of these people, like maybe it's Euro-Americans, maybe it's Africans, who knows, these people here in the United States that are not from here are going to need to understand who we are. And that time is coming. The whole rest of the world understands what happened here in the United States, and nobody's supposed to talk about it, the residential school systems and all that. And I was honored to be part of a book cover for a lady who was doing some stuff, in Canada, and kind of exposing, or just talking about her life and exposing the truth and the fact that she was, taken from her family,
Right.
And all these things that happened at that particular time when they were experimenting on us. And so the reason why they experiment on us is because they want to know why we have these capabilities as children of the Creator.
Well, it's also like I think it's important to know the dark side in order to heal from what we're healing, and that's why I always really appreciate those that have the courage to tell the truth in their stories. And makes us all better human beings, and we heal. Because I think a lot of America is in huge denial anything even happened here, and so. And again, coming back to what you said, if it wasn't for indigenous people, original inhabitants of the world, okay, there would be nothing left. And I do know when those prayers are stopped, Uncle always says, and I do know this, that once they're done with us, they're coming for everybody else. So we have to keep those prayers going, and we have to keep moving forward and towards that. Towards what they just knew. They weren't primitive. They really knew what was up, and like we need to really be listening.
Yes, and there was no such thing as primitive. That's for sure. It was like, what's the best way we can actually approach this?
Yeah.
That's not going to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
And it's just like I did a couple of videos on a new device that I made for cleaning water, and it extended Lemon's life, far beyond. I did this experiment with the device, worked these designs and everything, and built a life-size one and sat in it for a while, and was able to see that everything was water. You could see that things were water in this tetrahedron, and a spiral from counterclockwise spiral on the ground, and you sit in it, and it'll take you to a place where it just like lights up your whole nervous system and your whole like backbone. And I thought to myself, bingo, this is the perfect thing to have accessible to those kids who are feeling down,
Yeah.
And I had to do some studies on it. I had to make sure there was study done on it, and then also I experimented, and other people partook of the studies, and they were like, this is way different. I feel so much different. I felt like I was depressed before, and now I have so much energy, and I've watched them. And so I want to be able to provide those and start off with a tripod, and the spiral, and it pulls all the energy up through the tripod. It's like a teepee. And so when I did those videos, I kind of explained actually what was going on in a very, very simple scientific basis, not even using science really, because science is so far out in left field sometimes. But, and and it works. And I'd really like to be able to provide those. That's my dream, to be able to provide those for different reservations and kids that just can. All they have to do is sit in it for a little while. It's that easy.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I know. It's mind blowing how it all came together, and there's so much to be said about that. I could spend 2 hours just talking on how that came to be too. But for the most part, I'm just like, after I did what the elders told me to do, what the ceremonial men told me to do, one passed away, and it really broke my heart. But it was like, because on my reservation, like many other reservations, there's kind of like a grid or something. There's family members over here, family members over there, and they all want you to do one thing, this thing or that thing, And so I had to kind of pull away from all of that. So now I'm working on this organization, but always with a constructive intent, to be able to if we're doing something with our hands, we're making something, if we're working hard or whatever, it just makes you feel better, and it just, your body feels better, you're strengthened. So this organization touches on all those, that cultural aspect of the farming. The farming is really important. My whole tribe used to farm when they were back in Minnesota. And so there was this beautiful farming similar to the Hopi, because we're brothers. And there was beautiful corns that we all had, And so, yeah, just a lot of stuff has been kind of wiped out and demolished, but it was foretold that everything would be made new again.
Yeah, so, I think everything comes back on the wind when we're ready for it. That's just me, my opinion. We just got a few more minutes, and I like the hour went by really fast, and
yeah, it did.
But I appreciate you taking time and share with us, and connect, and I hope that we can do more in the future.
Yeah, that would be. I would be honored. There's so much to say, and I could have more of an outline of these projects that are going on, little by little, and introduce them, because there's been so much work that I've done,
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll do that in the future. Again, I appreciate you taking time to with us, and an hour to share and connect, and I appreciate all the things you're doing for the people. So I'll raise my hands up.
Well, I love you, brother. I can feel your heart. You've got such a good heart and everything, and my prayer is that you be strengthened very, very powerfully and renewed in every moment if you have to be.
Thank you, and right back at you. And we'll talk soon. Promise.
Okay.
All right, take care.
Okay, see ya.
See ya. So, thank you for listening. This is KAOS 89.3 FM here in Olympia, and